nothing inside.
How can that be?
Look, over there.
Where? Over there.
The case.
Case?
The case is closed. The case is closed. You solved the mystery. I don't know how you do it. Come on, let's go get something to eat.
The case is closed.
What up with it, y'all? We're back with some more pro wrestling talk, pro wrestling history, and RIP Leslie Nielsen, man. Some call him a comedic genius, the original OG of the spoof movie. Would you say that's true, man? Like from the Naked Gun films to all the other spoofs that he was in, all the way up to even like one of the, was he in Scary Movie 4, 5, 3? One of them, I don't know. He was a funny dude, man, and this is a pretty cool story. As you see, we're going all the way back 30 years ago, SummerSlam 94. Leslie Nielsen teamed up with the WWE to do some promo skits and stuff like that leading up to SummerSlam and during the actual SummerSlam pay-per-view itself, man. Man, I still call them pay-per-views, man. All this PLE, premium live event, it just doesn't roll off the tongue, pause, the same way. Comment and let me know if you agree with that. Like, I still say pay-per-view. But anyways, he, continuing on with his Naked Gun role as a detective, was out to solve the case as the Undertaker had been missing after losing to yokozuna at the Royal Rumble with the strap on the line in a casket match. A lot of people thought, Taker was going to be the one to dethrone yokozuna at that time, but you see, man, he got a lot of help, and it was pretty cool the way it all went down. You guys remember that? Everyone came out. Kind of reminded me of the Buried Alive match, where a lot of wrestlers on the roster made an appearance and helped everyone everyone helped literally bury the Undertaker alive. That's kind of what happened in the casket match as well, as they all came out, helped Yoko beat Undertaker in his own signature match. But you saw what happened, man. The casket started smoking, the lights started flickering, all the power went out in the building, and the Undertaker appeared on like the Jumbotron screen, giving us a speech, letting us know he would be back, man. Like, you can't kill the Undertaker. The legend really will live on forever, man. But he had been MIA since that time, and the $1 Million Man pops up with an Undertaker of his own, and everyone, if you remember back then, let me know if you thought that this was the real Undertaker. As a lot of people, always think of Paul Bearer when it comes to the Undertaker, but the original manager of the Undertaker who brought him to the WWE was the $1 Million Man. So he said he found him. He's back. He's going to bring the $1 Million Corporation to the top. And, it was kind of crazy. If you guys recall, I think it was like the first Raw ever. Mike Bell, who is known for a lot of different things. His brother made those bigger, stronger, faster. What was it? The steroid documentary. I think he made one about pills and addiction. Another one about the carnivore diet. Pretty interesting, documentaries and all that. His brother was Mike Bell, who passed away. Perry Saturn shot on him. He had some pretty decent highlights in his career for being what some would call a jobber. Like, I'm not trying to knock the dude. He made it to the WWE, but he wanted to keep juicing it up, got lost in the world of addiction and stuff like that. And, RIP to him as well. And Paul Bearer, Leslie Nielsen, and Leslie Nielsen's co-star, George Kennedy, who reprised his role from the films as well. We'll talk a little bit more about him in a minute, man. But I think it was on the first ever Raw, the Underfaker, the $1 Million Man's Undertaker, defeated Mike Bell, and they put him in a body bag. They were doing that whole gimmick leading up to SummerSlam, as eventually, the real Undertaker, Paul Bearer, let us know that's the Underfaker. That ain't the real Taker. And, they ended up having this epic showdown at SummerSlam. But for real, anyone out there, did you really believe that the $1 Million Man had the real Undertaker as Underfaker. You heard me reference him as, some know him as Brian Lee Harris. You might remember him as Chains from the Disciples of Apocalypse. He had a pretty good match against Ahmed Johnson back late 90s Attitude Era, where they were doing the whole gang war storyline, where you had everyone from the Los Boricuas to the Nation of Domination, Disciples of Apocalypse, and even the Truth Commission got in on it all. It was like, wow, you know, the new nation kicked out the members. Savio and Crush went on to start their own stables, and it turned into this gang war and stuff like that. It was all right, but I felt like it got played out at the end, and Crush ended up leaving after the screw job and went over to WCW, and Chains, Brian Lee / Underfaker, ended up becoming the leader of the Disciples of Apocalypse, the biker themed stable for a while, till it, you know, faded away. And obviously Ron and Don Harris, then known as Skull and 8-Ball, were also a part of the stable and were on the quest to become, you know, WWE Tag Team Champs. Paul Ellering even turned on the Road Warriors, the LOD, and joined the DOA. They ended up never getting the straps. But Chains had a match that he lost to Ahmed Johnson during this whole gang war storyline on Raw, where they beat the brakes off Ahmed Johnson, kicking him out of the nation, who Ahmed was like my favorite wrestler, was supposed to be the first ever black world champion. It didn't work out that way, and the real life heat between him and Farouk fucked it all up. Like, they did this heel turn, which a lot of people saw like is not making any sense. I kind of felt that way, and he was supposed to get a world title shot at the Undertaker at Canadian Stampede, replaced by Vader. Didn't happen. He got injured when he had the IC title and was supposed to get a world title shot. I'm sorry I'm getting off track, but on my other wrestling channel that I'm locked out of, man, we had a whole Ahmed Johnson Files series that I was getting to, man, as Ahmed was the truth, and everyone likes to just shit on him nowadays like he was pure garbage. I got to get back into that channel, but everyone over there, that channel was called CWF, Coffee Wrestling Federation, right? I'm logged out of it. Can't get back in there. Subscribe over here and talk in the comments pro wrestling with me, man. But getting back to where we are, a whole lot was going on. Brian Lee Harris, who many would say this was the highlight of his career, the whole Underfaker gimmick or the Chains run. He had been in WCW as well, TNA later on. He had a title run with this television title gimmick that they were doing, I think, in Smoky Mountain, that I thought kind of was corny, where you had the title and you had to defend it so many times and you would win a money prize. I didn't really like it, but he did that as well. But I think ultimately the Underfaker thing is the highlight of his career. Let me know if you agree or not. But with all this going on, Leslie Nielsen gets in on it. And I thought it really added a great element to the presentation, to the promo leading up to SummerSlam and to the actual pay-per-view. Like, dude was funny as hell. Naked Gun was a popular film. It's crossing over into the world of WWE. And as you saw there, man, that's when the case was closed. They solved it all. But it was great. A lot of little great skits and snippets and stuff like that. Tap in and let me know if you enjoyed it, man. But a really heartwarming story about all this is Leslie Nielsen was the bigger star, right? WWE brought him in, and whatever they worked out for him payment-wise, he said, hey, let me bring George Kennedy over. I want to pay him $5,000. We can take it out of my money. He's not doing so well. He needs help. Like, I want to look out for him, and it makes sense for him to be a part of this with me. You know, people know his character. It'll be dope. Vince McMahon, who, you know, say what you say about old Vinnie Mac, the allegations are still ongoing. Will his name be cleared or not? What will be the outcome of that? Haven't been hearing much. WWE doing everything to stall the court proceedings and whatnot. The feds, you know, ran up in the offices. We haven't heard anything, man. I say in a similar situation going on with Diddy, I think the feds are going to come down on him with a RICO, no criminal charges yet. But same thing with Vinnie Mac at this time. The feds did a little raid, but at the end of the day, it's just a lawsuit right now that just keeps getting delayed and everything. But back then, Vinnie Mac was touched by this, that Leslie Nielsen wanted to do business, good business with the WWE. He liked his work. He liked Leslie Nielsen. And he said, hey, he wants to look out of his friend, out of his own pocket, his own payment. Let's bring him in, you know? And how about this? Don't worry about it, Leslie. I'll pay him 10 grand out of my pocket. You're a good guy. And that, like I said, that's a happy ending. That's pretty cool, man. And once again, we got to say RIP to Leslie Nielsen, George Kennedy, and Paul Bearer. Comment your favorite memories, movies, just whatever of all these individuals that we're talking about who have passed on. You know, this is 30 years ago. They were making pro wrestling history. And when it came down to it, the actual match, you know, we could only tell the two Undertakers apart by the color of their gloves and, you know, the purple versus the gray and the boots and all that. And I got to say, you see this one picture where they're in the back separate from each other, and you can clearly tell one is taller than the other. But when they were in the ring, I thought that they looked like even height. I think he wants to put lifts in his boots or whatever, you know, which WCW did with the Yeti, right? Can never forget the Yeti. But ultimately, I really thought they did a great job at making him look just like the Undertaker and making it look like a Mortal Kombat mirror match out there. Like the look was really on point. Taker versus Taker. I thought they did a great job all the way back then, man. And I'm intrigued to know if you guys agree or not. But the match itself, what do you think? Was it lacking? Was it good? Was it so-so? Like I said, presentation-wise, the pay-per-view, Leslie Nielsen being involved, the whole look and aesthetic to it all, the Undertaker's returning after yokozuna and half the roster put him in the casket and he emerged and everything. And then we see here the Underfaker hits him with multiple choke slams. He tries to go for the tombstone, but Paul Bearer raises that urn and the Undertaker reverses it, hits him with 3 tombstones, and it's good night, Irene. You know, like, I'm not saying it was a bad match, but it wasn't the greatest match. You know, did it live up to the hype? I want to know what you think below. But all in all, I would say this was a good moment in pro wrestling history, a good pay-per-view. Undertaker took down the Underfaker. Ted DiBiase runs away. And it's just, you know, another great moment in the career of The Undertaker, man. Like 30 years ago, it's so wild to think, you know what I mean? Like, we talk about pro wrestling gimmicks and, you know, different eras of pro wrestling where gimmick characters or the clowns, the evil clowns, the garbage men, the hockey players, the goon, you know what I mean? We saw everything and all that out there. Some people thought it was corny. It's like, I don't know, you know, then we saw some gimmicks shift over to more real life around the Monday Night Wars and stuff like that. But no matter what, through it all, the Undertaker gimmick, a gimmick that some people looked at as silly, carried on and made it all these years. Yeah, we saw the American Badass. We saw him stop being the Prince of Darkness, the Phenom, the Dead Man, the Undertaker for a little while, but he reverted back to that character. And, you know, a part of what made the gimmick work for so long and carry on and be as epic as it is and was and always will be and will go down in the history books as one of the greatest gimmicks of all time that a lot of people would look at as silly and wouldn't think wouldn't last. And honestly, it could have went that way, but like, he played the character great. And the storylines, man, stuff like this, you know, like him getting put in the casket, losing in his own signature match, appearing, you know, to come back and get rid of this Underfaker. The $1 Million Man's full of ish. You know, it kind of reminds me of Kane when we heard of his brother Kane coming back. And, you know, there was just so much that they did with the character. And at the end of the day, man, it was so dope. Growing up, being a fan of pro wrestling and watching the Undertaker, just continue to have success and continue to put on good matches and just do what he did all these years. It was epic. He made an impact right away as soon as he touched down in the WWE, and it never stopped all the way to the end. So there you have it, man. 30 years ago, you see the picture. Today, the Undertaker's doing podcasts. He's getting more involved in the media side of things and the internet, doing interviews and sitting here kicking back, playing PS5, chasing sharks away from his wife. Did y'all see that a little while ago? You know what I mean? We've seen a different side of the Undertaker. And, it's like an immortal character, wrestler, gimmick, worker that would just really live on forever. And it was dope, man. So comment and let me know what you thought of all this, what you thought of that match, where you rate it in your Undertaker highlight ratings and stuff of his matches and feuds and storylines over the years, and what you thought about the Leslie Nielsen stuff, just everything we touched on in this video. Let's talk about it all in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned. That's what it's all about over here, talking with you guys, other pro wrestling fans, about old stuff like this, new pro wrestling news, whatever. Let's just talk pro wrestling. So subscribe, let's talk. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.